Okay, I'm getting tons of questions about quadratics. How to use the quadratic formula. First off, you need to remember the quadratic formula is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2a, 2 times a. Okay, you need to have that formula. It'll be written down in most cases on most of your papers, but I've received a bunch of questions about quadratic formulas and how to work it out. I started doing this one right here. This one's written as the quadratic equation, ax squared plus bx plus c, okay? Quadratic equation is all set up in that trinomial, okay? Ax squared plus bx plus c. You've got a negative 8 as the b and a negative 65 as the c, and nothing, it's a 1 as the a. So when you start filling in the parts, I write it out first. I substitute the negative 8 in for the negative b. But the problem is it's a negative 8. So a negative 8, negative 8 is a positive 8, plus or minus all the stuff in the discriminant. Okay, so it's b squared. This is where people mess up. B is a negative 8. So it's a negative 8 squared. Okay, I'm going to write the rest of it out, but we're going to go from here. After that, it is minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is negative 65. Okay? Now you've got to do all this stuff in the discriminant. Negative 8 squared. Negative 8 times negative 8 is a positive 64. So that's what that makes. Minus 4 times 1, which is 4, times a negative 65. A negative 4 and a negative 65 make a positive, I think it makes 260. Bring down the 64, add those together, and this all makes 324. Now you can use your calculator to do the square root of 324. Square root of 324 is 18, so 8 plus 18, 8 minus 18, plus or minus, all divided by 2 times 1, which is just 2. So you should get two answers. 8 plus 18 is 26. 26 divided by 2 is 13. 8 minus 18 is 10, but it's negative. Negative 10 divided by, it's negative 5. So those are the two solutions with the quadratics. Okay, the killer with these is that a lot of people forget the negatives when they substitute it in, and when they work it out, it doesn't show very nice and neat. Now, the quadratic formula is very easy to use once you get used to doing and utilizing your calculators to be able to do the busy work math. Some of them don't work out that great. That's why it says round to the nearest tenth for some of these problems, because you're going to get your radical and it's not going to be a perfect square, and you're going to have to take the rounded answer of whatever it is, like we did the other day. But like I said before, the only time you have to use the quadratic formula is when they say use the quadratic formula for this, okay? Most of the time you choose what method works best for you. Completing the square, the quadratic formula, factoring a trinomial into two binomials, whatever. The only thing that really right now for us is really useful, relatively useful, is using the discriminant to know, will I have one answer, two answers, or no answer? You don't need to use that. You can pretty much tell that by the graphing, by the equation that it writes itself, okay? But life goes on. All right, more questions, more questions, more questions.